What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Coast Avengers. This is season 2, episode 27. Of course, you got your original guys here. You got myself, Dominic, you got JT, you got Christian, you got Darren, and you got Josh here tonight. And of course, we have two very special guests here tonight joining us. You guys might know them as Crews and Clout. They are a great podcast to listen to, so make sure you guys go out and listen to them. And then one of these guys I'm actually, good friends with. Been knowing each other for about a couple years now, so we've gotten pretty close. Always supporting each other's podcasts that we have going on right now. So I'll just go ahead and introduce these two people. We have Nick and Bryant. Thank you guys for joining us tonight.
Oh, thanks for having us.
No, we as I mentioned before, guys, we're thankful to be on here. We follow you guys' work. We appreciate the support on the other side of things as well. Glad to be here. This is our first time on someone else's podcast, so
Time for everything.
I'm not used to being the one that doesn't MC and do all that other stuff. So this is different, but I'm cool with it for once.
Right. Yeah, and I wish it was, in person too. And then, of course, you guys are, Brian, I know you're from North Carolina, and then Nick, California, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so usually when we have guests come on in person, we're usually at JT's house, and then we'll have our guests sign our ECA table. JT, I don't know if you can show that right now, but we always have our guests sign our table. So it would be always nice if we could try to get together in person and try to do this.
Yeah, no, for sure. If we can get everybody on one accord, I'm gonna say a PSA real quick. Please wear a mask, wash your hands, do everything necessary. One, to save lives, but then two, there are a lot of other cool things that people want to do with their lives besides sit in their houses.
Right.
So if we can get out of that and everyone does what we're supposed to, I will be glad to make the trip to Memphis. I've been there before. My family lived there, so I understand the energy and the vibe there. It's a good place. And so yeah.
Yeah, so I just wanted to ask, you and Nick a few questions, just basically first thing is, who you guys are, just basically introduce yourself and what do you guys do, outside of your podcast?
I'll go first. Outside of the podcast, before the pandemic and everything, I was a cook, and so it took up a lot of my schedule for the podcast. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
I remember me and him having to record at like midnight always. And to know about me, I'm an aspiring actor, I guess is the best way to put it, and I'm a writer, which is fun, but also messes with my head constantly. Bryant knows that best.
Yeah, for sure. To piggyback off what Nick said, the writing thing is something that he's really passionate about. He's actually really good at it. We've got some things coming, which we will disclose at a later time. As far as it pertains to me, I am a data analyst. I recently switched out of television. I was a producer. I got out of that, and I am a data analyst for Cisco. It's a good job. I love it. I have a strong burning passion for numbers. I am the biggest nerd. Sometimes it may not seem like it, but I enjoy what I do. On top of that, Nick and I actually started a production company as well. So we've got that working on the back burner. So by day, crunch numbers, and by night, I try to figure out how to start a business. So really things to know about me. I love sports. I love pretty much everything nerdy, with the exception of Lord of the Rings. I just can't do it. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Hey, I'm on that same boat as you. I can't.
I can't. I just can't. I will say this. I don't hate it because I hate the source material. It just doesn't do anything for me. I don't get any sort of tingling sensation when I read it. The films are really well made. Shout out to Peter Jackson. I think he really helped push things forward with the genre of like fantasy, and to this day, comic book movies and all that stuff really can, should tip their cap towards him, and just big tempo films like that in general. But yeah, so outside of that, though, anything else, whether it's Star Wars, Star Trek, comic books for sure, anything else in that realm, that's kind of what I'm into. So yeah.
Good stuff.
Right. Nice, man.
Wait,
Nice.
question. Do you like Harry Potter?
Big Harry Potter guy.
Okay.
Shout out to all my fellow Hufflepuffs.
Oh! I know, Donald.
Just drops the bomb.
I have not Slytherin yet, man.
Man, Brian, I forgot to tell you, I recently got back on the Harry Potter franchise. I got through watching all 8 movies this past Sunday. So, like, my Harry Potter fan in me is definitely coming out.
I thought my entire life, I read that series from the moment that it started. I've reread it probably about 6 or 7 different times now in my adulthood. I could have sworn, I was like, I just know I'm just a Gryffindor. I just know it. And I've taken that Pottermore quiz like 4 different times, and I've gotten Hufflepuff every time. So now I just got, it's it. There's no lying. There's no denying it.
I'm gonna tell you this. At first, when I took my Pottermore quiz, they put me as Ravenclaw, and I was like, huh.
It's just not sexy. I think that's why everyone hates it. Ravenclaw isn't sexy.
I was like, Ravenclaw. I was like, nah, I don't know if I'm a Ravenclaw, but I took it 3 weeks ago after I started watching the Harry Potter movies. And then they told me I was a Hufflepuff. I said, this is the correct answer, because I'm a Hufflepuff through and through.
Yeah.
Because all 4 of these guys know like how I am as a person. And especially, I think Derek can attest to it the most. Like, I definitely fit in as a Hufflepuff at this point.
Yeah, I'm a very hard Slytherin, and it's really hard finding people that are like that. Because, yeah, it's just tough.
My entire life, I've never met a Slytherin. That anyone has ever taken that quiz, I've never met one. So this is a first.
I know a few.
Document this.
I like it. But I got a question for Nick and Bryant. One of you guys, it's hard to remember who's from California and who's from North Carolina, but that doesn't matter. Both of you guys are quite literally coast to coast. You guys are across the country. How did you guys, first of all, come to meet and start that? I mean, that's
man.
You guys know each other in person at one point, or like what?
No, we had mutual friends who we always tweeted with each other. Was 4 years ago, and through a series of tweets, we decided to make a group chat to talk about the topic of those tweets, and it just birthed this friendship. I don't really want to talk about what the tweets were about because we're trying to I want to stay professional as possible.
So you know what? I'm gonna fill in some. I'm gonna throw in some filler to that answer. So he's right. 4 years ago, this all started honestly over. It was my actual comment, and I said something, and Dom will tell you, I don't really have a filter on what I post on the internet. Luckily for me, I've chosen to keep my non-work life kind of separate. So I don't put my employer in my bio. So I'm able to kind of just basically post what I want to and really not fear the blowback. And so that's how I've operated even when I was in college and I had Twitter. And so something happened and I posted something that is like he said, I would not mention it. It's not too crazy. We probably would all laugh about it. And I just decided we were laughing about it, and there was like 8 of us in the message included or in the tweet. And I said, you know what? I've been interacting with these folks for X amount of months now. I was on the fringe of like the DC side of Twitter and comic book Twitter in a whole, because like I didn't feel like I leaned in too far with a lot of the people there, but I also wanted to feel connected because for a lot of my life I was always the athlete that just happened to, really like comic books. And so it was hard for me to actually just kind of fully embrace it. And once I got to college, I just did, it didn't matter anymore. And so we started the group chat. And like you said, the group chat is still going strong to this day. And yeah. So, and Nick and I had some ambitions and things that we wanted to accomplish. And we like I said, we still a part of that group chat, and those are some of our really close friends. But we decided to branch off and make our podcast. And those guys have all been on the podcast multiple times. And they're actually going to be on our next episode when we cover San Diego Comic-Con, which everyone can watch from home now.
That's true.
But yeah, so that's kind of how it transpired. And we've navigated all sorts of issues with us being on opposite coasts. I'm the one that lives in North Carolina. Nick lives in Cali, and it's hard as hell. I would definitely.
Yeah, 3-hour difference.
It's a 3-hour difference, and like I said, I work some crazy hours sometimes for work. It's just the nature of my job, and we make it work though, and we enjoy it. And it's gotten to the point now where we don't necessarily just do it. We don't even do it, I guess, for the notoriety and to get people to say, oh, we listen, just say we have a podcast. More than anything, for us, it's like therapeutic. Got different things going on in our lives, and we also share, some things that we want to do accomplish together. But it's like a roughly 2-hour like therapy session in a way to talk about things that we care about. We don't care about, and we just vent, and it's two friends and talking about things that they like and they don't like, and it's therapeutic. So
yeah, I guess we can all agree to that, because this is definitely therapeutic for us. It's an escape from our daily lives, our jobs that we have, especially for me and my job that's going on right now. This is definitely therapeutic for me. And I want to go into my next question for you guys. I know you guys recently mentioned about a guest that you have on the show. Now, you guys recently had Kelly Sue DeConnick, who is probably one of the greatest comic writers that we have right now in the comic book industry. Just tell me how was your experience with her, and how did you guys feel getting to interview Kelly Sue DeConnick? And how did you get her, guys, on your podcast too?
Give us your secrets.
He's just good at emailing.
Yeah,
that's pretty much it.
So I'm gonna tell you, I will probably outline this entire conversation. Nick and I we have our usual, so we usually meet roughly about a week or so, and we kind of just chat about things. It's mostly honestly related to our production company. And at the time we were talking about that, and obviously we still have our podcast, and our podcast is, I guess, kind of the foundation for what we want to do anyway for the production company in itself. And so splitting time between those two was pretty hard, and Nick and I decided, you know what, this year specifically at the turn of the year, one of the big things to kind of optimize things and push the podcast forward, and something that we had, spent a lot of time deciding, okay, how can we get better? I think that's a big thing within life, and I hope everyone really hones in on that. Like, you should always take the time to see how you can optimize and better things in your life, no matter how good they're going. You know what I'm saying? It's self-improvement is big. And so we took the time out to do that. And what we do is we just plan out our episodes like 4 or 5 shows in advance. So we just have an entire lineup just lined up. And Nick and I just decided, you know what, dude, we really should try to see if we can get like a big fish, so to speak. We've had our own friends come on there. They have various different jobs, businesses. We had a lingerie designer. That's Nick's friend. She came on there and talked, and I was like, dude, I just know we can get someone big within like the realm of what we talk about generally. And I just started going through like some of my favorite writers that I follow and Nick follows, and Kelly Sue. I'm a noted Aquaman fan. If you don't take anything else away from it, just know that I love Aquaman and I love Batman. Those are my two favorite superheroes. And I knew that she had wrote really well for Captain Marvel, and her run had just roughly started at the time with Aquaman. And so she had a link in her bio, and I guess it was to her agency. Her agent is actually her husband, super nice dude, FYI. And I just put on my professional email pants and sent it out. And he got back to me within like 2 hours. And the dude was like, absolutely, we definitely be down to do it. And I would literally not forget, I got the email, and I was actually texting Nick just off something completely random. And I think I called Nick, and I was like, dude, we did it. And he's like, what? And I was like, we did it. And he's like, what? And I told him, I was like, that's it. And I think we spent like the next like 5 minutes like screaming. It was pretty lit. Like, I'm not even gonna lie.
That's what's up.
She came on, and she only had about 30 minutes to offer. She has kids and stuff like that, and she's kind of bound to her work schedule, and she was figuring out some things. And she was actually in the midst, if I'm not mistaken, she was in the midst of writing the issue that dropped today. As a matter of fact, the Aquaman 61. She was writing that, and she's super nice. She gave some really insightful things about the industry in itself, and I would honestly say you guys just reach out to her. And if you guys need me to, when we get off here, I can send the link to the agency and the website. They seem really, like I said, really open, genuine, and super nice. They didn't have like all sorts of crazy requests like you might get when you have like writers and things of that nature. She was just really nice, and the whole process was smooth. It took like all of like a couple hours. They were really accommodating. They said, well, what worked best for you guys? And we did. And even the fact she was on the West Coast as well, so it worked out best for Nick as well. So it was a really easy process. She gave us a great 30 minutes. Dude, to this day, and Nick will probably co-sign this as well, that thing, it did numbers for us. I think at the point I checked our Apple statistics for it, I think we had over like 4K like listeners for that episode, dude. And it was off a simple like retweet by her, and that shit, it was an incredible thing. So
right.
So basically, what you're saying is just shoot your shot.
It's literally yes. That is it. That's it.
You know what? Let me go ahead.
Let me go ahead and start emailing everybody. And
Look, hey, I want to get Jonathan Hickman on because I definitely have some questions about his recent X-Men run, which I absolutely love.
No doubt.
So.
Our next biggest target, honestly, within, I guess, in the realm of this, in the realm of comic books, and we are huge Tom King fans, man. And Tom King is so good.
I've tweeted him like 5 times.
We're gonna break through that barrier. If I just need Tom on there for like 15 minutes. And I think that's the part that's like so cool about it. I don't necessarily, and I'm sure you guys probably feel the same way, I understand the nature of these things. You guys have other obligations. You're constantly writing. The industry in itself is going through a lot of changes with everything that's kind of came out recently with various different incidents and a lot of just disgusting things have happened. So I know there's a lot of stuff going on. People are busy. You still have ongoing issues and things of that nature. That 15 minutes, it really feels like an hour though. Like you just truly don't understand. Like I said, 30 minutes. She actually stayed longer than 30 minutes when she came on our podcast. I think she ended up saying like 45. And so it was basically the length for an entire show. And it's like you guys said, it really is just a shoot your shot thing. And that's honestly been our motto since. And we just be out here just throwing emails, messages. And if it lands, it lands. If not, it's okay. It's because, you will never, you guys included a podcast of what we talk about and what we do. You're never going to get big unless you just put yourself out there and you continuously just try to figure out, put yourself out there and let people know, hey, we like you on. It doesn't have to be X amount of time. Just 15 minutes, just answer a couple questions for us and keep it moving. It's like almost in a way, it's like a stimulus package though for because people will sit there, people who don't know anything about you will be like, oh, okay, my favorite writer or author or whatever the case may be, they took the time out of the day to go visit this podcast and hop on. And for all that knows, you might get 5 additional new listeners that now tune into your content every single time you drop an episode that they never would have known it existed had you not gotten this cosign basically from someone in the community. So
that's awesome. That is really, yeah. I mean, I think for all of us, we've met people. We haven't had the chance to kind of have them on. I know Dom met Paul Rudd. There's a running joke between all of us that, me, Dom, and Darren met Chris Claremont. So we met him, got him to sign some things. Josh and I both worked for the Memphis Grizzlies, and so we've seen we've seen celebrities and athletes and everything. But it's that initial getting them on an episode or something. I know this past year before the COVID, I would talk to the players during rebounds, and I'd be like, hey, you into nerd stuff? Well, I run a podcast, me and 4 other friends, you should listen to us. And they'd be like, oh yeah, okay. It's like, I mean, but like you said, if it just takes one, that's it. And that's kind of what we kind of run off of as well. And I think everybody else can kind of, co-sign with me is, we don't care about views. We don't care about numbers. We put this content out because we enjoy it. And we love what we do. And along with that, it's one of these things, it's gonna catch like that. And then once it does, everything's gonna skyrocket. So we just recently, this past month, actually, I think from June to July, we cracked the Hot 50 in Podcast Magazine. We reached over 100 subscribers on our YouTube channel. We reached 600 followers on Twitter. It just kind of all happened at once.
Over 100 for Instagram too.
What?
Over 100 for Instagram too, for our followers.
Yeah.
So exactly. We had a lot of big things for us.
Yeah, and it all rapidly just kind of happened. So
that's
so yeah.
That's impressive, guys. You guys got to share some of y'all secrets too. I think part of it is you guys have mobilized a nice little unit. I guess I don't want to be that guy, but you guys basically form an Avengers type unit. It's crazy because I remember, I think it was maybe 2 months ago. I was you guys had put an episode out and I had just tuned into it, and I think I remember I remember going on the page to actually retweet it, and I was like, Jesus Christ! Every time I go on this page, it's an additional 75 people are following this page. So I just want to tip my cap to you guys.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, the content is A1. The chemistry is there, guys, and just keep going. Like you said, at the end of the day, I don't think either one of us, our podcasts aren't for financial gain. If it happens, it happens. But we just do it because we love it, and I think it reflects just generally in the conversations and how earnest they are. I don't have any sort of plans to try to invest hella money into this and try to get it on the Spotify, all the rankings and things like that. I just want to talk about nerd content, and it not basically be filtered out or necessarily be linked to some of the bloggers and all these other trades and sites and stuff like that. Just want to talk about it because I want to talk about it. I don't want to piggyback off of someone else. So I just want to tip my cap to you guys.
Thank you. Thanks, man. That really means a lot coming from both of y'all because, we try to follow, a bunch of podcasts, that we follow on Twitter, and we try to listen to as many as we can. And I would say from my perspective that you guys are one of the best podcasts that I listen to. So just keep up the great work you guys are doing. I know I told Brian this earlier that you guys are just blowing it out the park with you guys' content and the guests that you guys are bringing on the podcast. So just keep up the good work that you guys are doing over there.
Thank you. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, man. And then
That's
going
big.
to this is the last question I have for you guys, and it's a bit of a quick one. Like, what can we expect from Crews and Clout going into the future? If you guys can answer that.
We are actually we're gonna try with the Comic-Con, like how what you guys are doing with this episode. You put on YouTube. We're starting our own YouTube channel.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna try to record.
To it.
And the plan was, like, when we started, that we were gonna be roommates and do it like how did I describe it, Brian? Like ESPN type deal, sitting behind a desk.
Yeah.
But things happened, and so we're just gonna try it through video.
Okay.
And have fun with that.
Yeah.
Should try to just.
We had plans to move and things like that, and obviously pandemic hit. Some other just general life things kind of derailed us. With that being said, though, we decided, you know what, we're not going to let this stop us. So finally, the next, I guess, part of and the next step in elevating this podcast, and just, continue to grow, is to get video content with it. I think that's a big thing, and that's what a lot of podcasts are doing now. Obviously, years and years ago, podcasts were literally just audio only. But now almost every single podcast is giving you video content on top of the audio content that they're giving you as well. Literally, it's just them recording it. You can put a face to the voice, and I think people genuinely just like it. And so we decided that was something that we're gonna try to branch into, get into the YouTube channel sector of things. And I think most importantly, and I guess it kind of goes hand in hand, and Nick, feel free to chime in on this. The big thing is this production company. We are going to get into digital content, things of that nature as well. So the YouTube channel with Crews Clout would definitely help. I actually haven't even.
Yeah, we're gonna be making a little short soon. While in the pandemic, I've been trying to brainstorm like what we can make that's comes off as original, but we can do where he's in North Carolina, I'm in California, but we could still make something.
Yep.
So it's not really Crews and Clout, but it is the host, Crews and Clout, making the content.
Yeah. And then the biggest thing, I actually haven't even told Nick this, so you guys are getting a premium exclusive right here. There is a NBA player that is going to be on our podcast. Yeah. Kevin Herter. He plays for the Atlanta Hawks with Trae Young. He's a friend. He's a friend of one of my friends. He's actually my trainer. They went to high school together, and he was able to reach out, chatted with Kevin a little bit, exchanged some text messages and things of that nature. We were going to have him on. So it's going to be pretty sweet to have an NBA player on. But I guess that's notable right now. We're going to try to knock this whole DC fandom thing out the park. Try to get as many people in the DC community, I guess online, so to speak, on there as well. But that's pretty much it.
Wow, that's I'm excited.
I'm excited.
JT, you better. I was going to say, JT, you better work your magic. Try to get one of the Grizzly players on here. You're the one who work closely with the team.
I will say this: if you guys can get Tyus Jones, I'm a huge Duke fan, obviously being North Carolina. Tyus.
Oh, yeah, because we got, like, what, 3 Duke players now?
Yeah, we got.
Yeah. If you can get any one of those on, I promise you, I will fly to Memphis. I promise you. I'll get the first flight.
Not that far away.
Hey, look, hey, just like you did, Brian. I'm gonna start. After this, just start getting on my phone, reading some people.
I'm going to be honest with you guys. If you guys truly wanted to get, I really do think, like I said, she's super nice. Was super accommodating. Kelly Sue is definitely one of the more down-to-earth people in the comics industry right now. I really think, like you said, I'm sure the link is in her bio because I think that's where I actually found it out. And Nick, you can fact check me, but I think it was in her bio. If you, it's something agency. The link is there. If you just go on there, literally they have like a contact form. Just fill it out. Tell them what you guys are about. Obviously, you guys being East Coast Avengers, I understand that you guys are Marvel people. Her Captain Marvel run was very notable. It's really, really good. But yeah, no, she's definitely someone I think you guys can have on. I to this day, like you guys gave us our hat tip. We really just, like you said, we just shot a shot. It wasn't anything special. I didn't go behind someone's back, and I wasn't like working phones. I literally just simply clicked on the link. And I know a couple other podcasts that she's done that were just generally like smaller people, intimate type settings. So I don't think we were, some anomaly. That's just who she is. And she's a really good interview. And I think she would enjoy being on here with you guys. Well, you guys are really good hosts, and like I said, the environment and everything in itself lends itself. So
Appreciate it.
We're ready to definitely take note of that.
So Dom, what kind of notes we got for this episode?
Yeah, so I'm gonna just go ahead and start off with some Marvel stuff first. So the first thing that we have is that Marvel Studios is reportedly discussing on how Thanos could return in a future film. So my first question for you guys is, would you like to see Thanos return? Not like in the past movie, like a movie that's in like the present time or the future time. Would you guys like to see him come back?
Give me the Eternals, and then I'm okay with it. If it's like younger Thanos, where we kind of get his backstory, I'm okay with it. That's as far as I want to see them.
The only exception for me, but other than that, no. That's it.
Same. I'm in the same boat.
Yeah, for me, like, and forgive my reference because I just beat Red Dead Redemption 2, so that's still in the mind. But one of the characters in the game goes like, his thoughts and his ideals are way different from ones in the beginning. So Thanos, I would like to see how he turned into the Mad Titan, because obviously he wasn't born this way, thinking like, kill off half the universe to save the universe.
Oh wait.
I'm sorry, what?
Bugged out. Okay,
Sorry,
continue.
Darren cut off. I couldn't hear him.
Just go on.
Well, yeah, because obviously he wasn't born that way. Something or a series of events must have, led him to that way of thinking. So, definitely a younger, more, just aggressive Thanos, because he is very cool and collected in the Infinity War. I would like to see that if they can do that in Eternals or any other movie they can think of putting that in there. But that's the only version of Thanos I want to see. I don't want to see anything like, oh, he lived or something like, something like that. So, yeah.
Yeah. Brian or Nick, you guys have anything to say about that topic?
I agree. Just a flashback of Thanos, because it's been 10 years of building up to him. They killed him off. To bring him back would just kind of just make it meaningless.
Right.
Make him turn to dust. So just a flashback.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna probably go ahead and also co-sign that as well. I think me and Dom actually had this conversation. Crazy enough, I think the thing that the MCU has to realize is you can't have all these movies and, like you said, 10 years and you have this literally global event film, like global event film, and then the next big thing that's supposed to be after that film, or the next big event film of that same kind of nature, features the same guy. Like I just don't think that if he comes back, it should definitely be in a flashback type. Well, he should not be the feature of a movie. I just don't think that he should be part of the actual universe necessarily going forward. I'm just gonna toss my personal suggestion. The next whole bit of this should be Dr. Doom. But yeah, anyway, continue.
Yeah, so yeah, I'll probably pretty much agree. Same thing what everybody else said. Mainly a flashback film. Hopefully, he will be in Eternals, because that has been mentioned a few times before in the past, saying that Thanos could be in Eternals. But now I'm saying if they do decide to bring it back and he's in like present time MCU timeline, he probably won't be a big threat like he was back then. He'll probably serve possibly like a real small role, maybe. He won't be as big as he was, orchestrating the whole thing. He'll probably be like, probably like an assistant to the main villain or something like that, whoever that main villain will be for the next, big MCU event. But he should definitely be like in the flashback film, but if they decide to bring it back present time, then he'll play a real small role in that possibly. So going into our next topic, as you all know, Giancarlo Esposito, who is a very, very famous actor and a very wonderful actor at that, he has said that he would love to join the MCU, and that it would likely be the next step in his career. So if you guys could see Giancarlo in a Marvel film or as a Marvel character, who do you guys think he should play?
I have said that he would probably portray a good Norman Osborn. I think that's a good role for him. But I mean, you never know. But what I really like about him coming out and saying this, and a lot of actors have said this as well, Marvel is their next step to either further their career or like just bolster their career. It just shows how far Marvel has come since the beginning in 2008. So more actually the MCU. So but also, Dom, congratulations on not butchering that name, because we all know I would have. But
yes, I bet you're glad I'm kind of moderating this episode tonight.
You bet.
But yeah, so I was thinking maybe if he was a bit younger, this is just my opinion, if he was a bit younger, I could probably see him as Reed Richards, maybe. As Reed Richards in a way. Could probably see him as that. But it seems like Norman Osborn is more of a good fit for him. So I would love to see him as Norman Osborn, but Marvel, if he say he wants to be in the MCU, give him any role that he wants. That's all I'm going to say.
Right.
Yeah, anybody else have anything to add to that?
For me, I really have no idea. It's up in the air, but he's a fantastic actor, and the casting, they haven't really gone wrong in terms of Marvel. So they'll definitely find a role for him. And at this point, I pretty much trust. I'm sorry, I'm blanking out on her name. The casting director that's done all the movies. I am sorry, I'm blanking on her name, but she has done an incredible job with casting all these people from Iron Man to now. So if you were to turn up to an audition, they would definitely find a role for him, and I would trust him, whatever that may be.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So this is the last Marvel news that I have. This is an update on the Kingpin rumors that we've been talking about the past couple of episodes. That JT, I might butcher this name, so forgive me. So Vincent D'Onofrio.
I'm just gonna. I'll say it for you. Vincent D'Onofrio.
Thank you. So Vincent
D'Onofrio.
He has commented on the matter by replying to Screen Rant after they said that he would ruin the character arc of Kingpin by saying, "You underestimated Marvel's Fisk. Never underestimate any villain driven by their interior life. Screen Rant, you know that deep in your heart, anything can happen." So he's basically, still saying that, he still cares about playing the role of Kingpin. He wants to bring that to the MCU, and I'm pretty sure a lot of fans want to see him coming to the MCU as well. So I'm just going to leave it with my opinion, saying that go ahead and bring Vincent to the MCU. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I'll just leave it at that.
Absolutely.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I haven't seen the show, but I do agree because I remember last episode we talked about Big Show coming on and wanting to play Kingpin, and I don't know. I mean, he has the height for it, but like the body build itself is like not there. Vincent already looks like a Kingpin. He could be a little taller, but I mean, they got to make do with what they have. And he works out perfectly. I haven't seen him act, but he looks. I would just go off the looks. I'm pretty sure. I mean, take something, but who knows? I would rather just stick with Vincent. But I do need to watch that show.
I think the best thing that Big Show does have for him going to play the Kingpin is he's got the look, almost bald white guy, bigger, tall, and Marvel doesn't really want to correlate actors from their shows onto the screen. We've only seen a few that have intertwined between television and movies, like Lady Sif from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Phil Coulson, Jarvis from when he played in Agent Carter and when he played in Endgame. So very few, and they're very small roles, small-ish roles. So that's the only thing that the Big Show has for him, is that they could look for a new actor, but Vincent, just give it to him.
All right, so now we're going into the DC realm of things, and this only bit of news that we have for them. Brian, I know you're probably going to have a lot to say about this because you said a lot about it on Twitter, but the news came out a few days ago saying that director Matt Reeves of the Batman movie and TV writer Terrence Winter are teaming up to create a police procedural series set in Gotham City that will premiere on HBO Max. There is no date set for this TV show yet, and it is heavily implied that Jeffrey Wright will play Commissioner Gordon in this show. So, Brian, I'm going to just throw it off to you and just say your thoughts on this bit of news right here.
Well, Nick and I both are big Jeffrey Wright guys. Favorite show, and something that we also have a lot in common is Westworld. We are huge Westworld fans, and so we love the idea of Jeffrey Wright. Period. So him being able to be the new commissioner in the Batman trilogy that's coming out, and then you throw him into this as well, is pretty amazing. I think overall though, the idea with this show, I find it hard for me not to be excited for it. I think, and a couple of friends of mine, we were all talking about this as well. I don't know if I probably would have announced this show, considering everything that's been going on in our country. And there was a little bit of backlash about that, I think, when the announcement came out. But the idea and the show and the stories that it represents can be told really well. With basically, you've moved yourself away from putting it on the CW. It's clear that you guys want this to be taken seriously. You obviously want the production value to reflect that as well. You put it on HBO Max. That checkbook is a lot bigger than the checkbook that you would probably give to a show that's going to go on the CW. In that regard, the acting quality is probably also just naturally going to be a little bit more extensive as well. And then you throw in the fact that you have Matt Reeves, who's a really, really, really good director, and Terrence Winter, who wrote The Sopranos and Boardwalk Empire. I think something else is in there as well. The other show that I think it was The Wire. He's part of The Wire as well. I mean, you put the guy that has wrote for those 3 shows. You're going to get some high quality content alone, especially when you pair him with a director like Matt Reeves. And I think it's a really, really dope show, and the idea is going to be cool. And more importantly, I think that they really have the avenue and the space to utilize this show in itself, considering everything that's gone on in our country in the last, well, not necessarily just the last couple of months, but for the last X amount of years. You can do so much, and you can send a really strong message and tell some really good stories and things that should resonate with our community a little bit more. And I'm interested to kind of see how it plans out, as it pans out. Gotham Central, which is pretty much the story basis for which this comes from. Shout out to Ed Brubaker, Greg Rucka as well. I think Michael Lark was on it too. Some of those stories are some of the best stories that involve Batman-related characters that have ever really, honestly, truly been written. And they all, like, most of them don't even really feature Batman having an extensive role. He's really more of a background character. And like they said, it takes place within Gotham City in itself. It's literally just a police show. It's dope.
We've already had a taste of that as well, as far as a police show with Gotham. If you've seen Gotham the series,
yeah. And I think more than anything, and there was a lot of discourse on what was the difference. I think more than anything, I don't think necessarily it's going to focus on like the rise of villains per se, and more so the actual relationship between the Gotham City Police Department and its relation to the city itself. Obviously, the villains are going to be involved, and that's kind of what the story and the omnibus itself, the comic book form of it, was all about. There's like this really good story with Renee Montoya, who she came out as a lesbian, and Two-Face like kidnapped her because he was like infatuated with her. Joker was like over here sniping people. I mean, the stories, like the issues and some of the stories are really, really good. And like I said, it's more of an analysis of how this police department works in this place, in this Gotham City, that has so much corruption and all this other details, and why the city is the way it is at this point in time. And it kind of highlights why Batman is needed, but then more so, it also highlights why this police department, it has its own issues, but it also has people that generally want to do good. And like I said, with everything going on right now, there are so many different things that you can do with it. I think in terms of how it compares to Gotham, I think that Gotham in itself still had more of a focus on Bruce. And don't get me wrong, I love all Bruce content, but I think that's probably going to be the major difference in between this, is that you probably won't see an emphasis on them, relating things to Batman and talking about Batman, more so them on a level of, we are this police department. And yeah, there's a Batman that's in this city, but we've got to do our own things, and there's things that he can't see. He is a superhero that is global, so he's got other things that he's taking care of as well. So I'm interested to see how it kind of works out. I think it's a dope concept, and I think with HBO already having the precedent for like investing serious amounts of time, effort, and resources, more importantly, to comic book related content with Watchmen, I think it can lend itself that it can also be taken in the same vein. I don't know anyone that's seen the Watchmen show, the series, that didn't like rave about it. And you got people who don't even like comic books like that. They're like, that was incredible. So it just goes to show itself that I think, and this is it speaks to a larger point, that comic book TV can be held in the same regard that some of these movies are, if the care is put into it that is put into the movies. So
absolutely, yeah. I mean, if they can, take that care, like you just mentioned, and just manufacture it into television, I mean, I don't see why any kind of, fandom can, succeed.
Yeah, I think, and I think that's it's weird that it's funny that we're having this conversation, because if you really think about it, that can be said about a lot of the comic book world. Is the best stories for these characters to this day, it's always going to be comics, because it's a long form format, right? And you have so much room to, you're not constrained to 2.5 hours like you would with a movie. You can develop characters so well because of the long form format of writing and in itself. So you take a step below that and you have TV. And I think that's really like the next step for comic books in itself, is outside of the realm of actual the books themselves, is what can we do from a television perspective, and see how you can kind of do that. And I think, even with the MCU, someone took the time out of their day to like basically break up the entire MCU into like hour-long episodes. It was really good when you sat there and you pieced it all together, and it was I'm sure a lot of editing that was gone into it, but like that in itself, like you could do so much, and the stories you can tell almost entire histories of these characters and things of that nature, if we were able to get more of these shows and more of these characters into television. You know what I'm saying? Even in the sense of the Marvel, like, can you imagine like a Final Four series that was done with the same care, like I said, that an HBO spent on Watchmen, or Game of Thrones for that matter? As much energy and time and the effort and stuff like that, the quality of directing that they put into that. If they started just popping that out for some of these superheroes and these comic book characters, you would definitely get a lot more people into it. So.
Hey, you pretty much just said it right there. So we can just end it with that on that topic. Going into Star Wars, this is big news that Disney Plus just announced that a new Star Wars show, which will be animated, by the way, called The Bad Batch, that will come from Lucasfilm, and it will debut next year into next year, 2021. No exact date yet, but just it will debut in 2021. And as I said, the series is called The Bad Batch. So I know some of you Star Wars fans in this chat right now have something to say about it.
Yeah, so I guess I'll go ahead and start. Bad Batch is this rogue for, they're like, they're not the same as all the other clones. They have defects, but they're good defects. They're basically advantages. And they were only in the first half of season 7, the final season of the Clone Wars. Mm-hmm. And so I like the idea that they're coming out with this spinoff, because they were really fun in the in those 4 episodes or 5 episodes from season 7. They had great chemistry. They felt more like a family than really any other group of clones because of their defects. And that's how they bonded. And so the chemistry was a lot of fun. And so I just really be curious, like what stories could be told. If you know anything about, Star Wars, you know that the clones are already programmed, to have Order 66 whenever it's activated to kill the Jedi. So I think a really interesting story would be, these clones, I don't know if they were already programmed, because like I said, they're defected. They're different from all the others. So if they weren't already programmed, since they're so different, you would think that maybe they aren't programmed to kill the Jedi when Order 66 commenced. So what kind of stories can be told through there? Did they, go off in their own adventure?
Jedi? Like fight alongside with them?
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's a fantastic idea. I don't know what other stories you could really tell other than they were there before the Clone Wars. So I guess you'd still have more Clone Wars stories, but with them. So that idea is like whatever. So I think the best way to go about it is to tell stories about what happened after Order 66 and what kind of things that they went through emotionally and physically, knowing that their brothers are all but dead and traitors technically. And so yeah, we'll see what happens with it. But overall thoughts, I'm very excited for it, and it's going to be fun because the clones are all voiced by one person.
Yeah.
So are we going to have the same dude voice that entire series? It's going to be a lot of work. But I'd definitely be down for it. It sounds like a great idea.
Darren, what are your thoughts on it?
I actually never watched season 7, but I've seen snippets and all that, and I looked up a picture of their armor and all that. It looks pretty cool. But I mean, I don't know much about them. I need to watch season 7 to actually know more. But like I basically got the gist of it, basically from what Josh explained. And having defective clones, like if they were programmed to do or complete Order 66, what if they didn't? What if they fought alongside the Jedi and like helped them out, or whatever the case may be? I mean, there's endless possibilities. We can create a great story with these, clones. So
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I'm pretty excited. Just anything Star Wars. I mean, I hope it's going to be better in the future. I mean, this is going to be an animated series, so it's not going to be another film or trilogy. So we don't want that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Very. I'll say real quick. By the way, I try to emphasize that I can't find another word for it. Defective is what keeps coming in my head. But you get one that's a brute, who's the strong one out of the group, who's just wrecking everything. You get the tech guy, who's the one that manages, with all the technology and all that. There's another guy that's the long shot, the sniper, if you will. And then the other one, who I can't remember what his thing is. But they all have different specialities. So when I say defective, they're not weaker. They're actually a lot stronger than normal. And that's what separates them from them. They have their own legion of.
So you're saying Star Wars has their own A-team?
Exactly. And that's what they are. So that's why I'm a lot more interested about them, because you get to really see, because their talents were only showcased in like 4 episodes. So I'd like to see how they can expand on that.
Yeah, I'm really excited actually for it, because if we're being honest, season 7 kicked off kind of slower, and then it picked up obviously, but the Bad Batch was definitely that kind of it kind of started off on their back, and they kind of held it until it progressed. But I'm excited to see like their backstory. Honestly, I don't want them to expand it to where it's like, however many episodes. Now we don't know anything about it. We just know we're getting a series of it. It could be 10 episodes, 12 episodes, however long. But I would like to see how they got their abilities, or almost, kind of. How did the sniper become the sniper, or how did the brute become the brute kind of situation? But yeah, I mean, from what I've read about it, it's going to be it's going to be a darker kind of tone to it. So yeah, I mean, you never know what Star Wars can.
It probably is going to be after Order 66 then, because that's a really dark time in the Star Wars galaxy. So
exactly. I would love to see that. I would love to see that, like, interaction between the clones and then the Bad Batch of the clones, like, saying, "Hey, are you ready to go kill the Jedi?" And the Bad Batch is like, "What? We're not doing that. That's not." And they're like, "Yeah, that's the Order 66." And they're like, "We don't know what that is."
And if you know about season 7, if you're watching, it's kind of a spoiler, but it shouldn't really be a spoiler. They're ordered to kill, and if you don't kill the Jedi, then you're automatically a traitor to the Republic, to the Empire. So it could be that the clones are going to start hunting down the Bad Batch because they didn't obey, Order 66. So we'll see.
So many possibilities.
For me, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but there's a set of films or whatever, or animated shorts called Halo Legends. And in the world of Halo, there's obviously the Spartans that everyone knows, like Master Chief, but they're normal like soldiers. They're called ODSTs, Orbital Drop Shot Troopers, and there's like those guys. They're like their versions of the Marines, Whereas in Star Wars, the Jedi would be the Spartans, like, the big dudes, while the normal soldiers, the cannon fodder, if you will, would be the clones. But in Halo, it's the ODSTs. there's this one short where it was a team of 4 of them, and very similarly, there's the brute guy, the sniper, the tech, and the leader, and it was like an 8-minute short, and I loved it. And so far, aside from like the 18, there hasn't been like, for me, for my taste, something like that has like, similar to those vibes that they give off in that short. So hearing this, I'm like, okay, that's cool, and it's Star Wars, so I'm down for that. So I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Absolutely.
Nick or Brian, do you guys have anything to add to that news?
I haven't watched season 7, but I saw pictures of the Bad Batch, and it like you said, it does make me think of what was that Halo game where it's the team of Spartans.
Oh, Halo 3 ODST.
Yeah, it makes me think of like it's going to be that type of vibes, and
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. Yeah,
and
it's really cool.
I think it's going to be a post Order 66 where they're being hunted, or if not, maybe other way around, they start hunting the clones, which would be cool.
That would be cool.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
What else we got, Dom?
Yeah, so honestly, I wanted to go back to the Bad Batch news because when I first, you guys might laugh at me at this, when I first saw that, I kind of read it wrong. I read the title wrong. I thought it said like the Bad Batch. I was like, oh, are they gonna do a show like that? I was like, okay, sign me up. But no, no, I guess I got that 100% wrong on that title name. But I'm giving Disney an idea on that, so if they want to take it, just make sure you give them my share.
Do you really think that Disney's gonna be like, let's take that and let's spin it?
Let's roll with it.
Hey, you never know. You never know.
I would love to see Disney Plus, a little kid getting on Disney Plus and seeing Bad Bitch on. I would love to see
that. Well, yeah, going into our last topic for Star Wars. This is just a rumor right now, but it appears that everybody is excited for this. If it actually does happen, that Hayden Christensen, who played Anakin Skywalker in the prequel Star Wars films, will be a series regular on the Obi-Wan Kenobi show on Disney Plus. So, do you guys want to see this happen?
100%.
Yes.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So badly, and it's so late. Honestly, he should have been in the sequel trilogy probably since, well, for sure the last one, Episode 9. But he should have been a bigger part of that because he's the chosen one. He really should be the focal point of. If they're going to continue a sequel, then they still need to make sure, because if the Emperor is still alive, you got to make sure that Anakin is part of that story. If this is a totally different thing, then Anakin's irrelevant. So the fact that they put back the Emperor and there was no Anakin, really, they only had like.
And seeing how this entire line of movies is called the Skywalker Saga,
exactly. It just doesn't make sense. So, it's definitely overdue. And this one, it depends on the context though. Because is it going to be flashbacks or like a ghost of Anakin? Because this is going to be when Obi-Wan is overlooking, Luke and Tatooine. And so what kind of Anakin are we going to get? Are we going to get Anakin that's basically Anakin's dead, Darth Vader's the one that's taken over, and Anakin's like ghost is like talking to Obi-Wan, which I think is super unlikely, honestly. Or is this going to be Anakin playing as Darth Vader? Does he interact with Obi-Wan? I don't know. So what kind of Anakin are we going to get? That's really going to be the question. But it just him coming back in general, absolutely. That just is just such a exciting thing for me. Even though it's just a rumor right now, it's not confirmed. It's so much fun to just speculate and wonder what kind of role it. And the fact that he's older as well, and that Obi-Wan is older, it's just going to fit that much better because I would love to see them both on screen just one more time. And so I hope that they can get back.
Yeah, I think, and you know what, I got to give a shout out to Wednesday Pool List. Lex had a very heated topic. You can go and find that on their Twitter. But he basically talked about the Star Wars saga and everything. I think for me, the only thing that I want to see out of this is, again, like you mentioned, Josh, is I want to see like where he fits, like how his role, because it says here he's going to be a series regular. Does that mean it's going to be like, is he going to continually be on each episode? And if so, in what capacity? That means we would have to see, Anakin and, Obi-Wan together at some point. So the only way I can see that happening is, like you said, as like a ghost or as some kind of like force, hologram or something like that. Like I'm trying to figure out where he would fit into this show. It's just very hard. And then, like I mentioned before we started the episode, is like the aging thing. Like, is this going, like, are they going to continue making him look, significantly older than the last time we saw him? Or are they going to add a ton of CGI to him and just kind of just, de-age him and make him go, make him look like he did in, episode 3. So it's just a whole lot of what ifs right now. But again, it's glad to, we're glad to speculate things.
For me too. Yeah. I'm just, by the way, became a Star Wars fan like back in December. So I haven't, watched these movies since I was a kid or anything. But episode 3 is my favorite. And even though Hayden Christensen has some very, questionable lines, and especially in episode 2, which are kind of memeable, I still like the dude. I still like the dude as the young Anakin. He's like bold and he's brash and he's, kind of mad and angry, but that's like him becoming Vader as the trilogy goes. And, obviously the Clone Wars gives more context with what was going on, between episodes 2 and 3, especially during season 7 and even Star Wars Rebels. But seeing even more from him, especially the specific actor who played him on live action, I mean, I'm a fan of him, so I would definitely like to see him. But yeah, even, and this is just a rumor, so it says as a regular, but he could be like, if they make a 10-episode series, he could be like in 2 of the episodes or something like that, if he's even in it at all. But I just want priority over everything. I want him to fit in. Like, I don't want him to be in the show just to be in the show. If they can find a very clever way of fitting him in, and that makes sense, and that's like actually like okay, that makes sense, then I'm all for it. But if that's their second top like thing on the list, while the first thing on the list was to get him on the show, then I don't think it's a good idea. Like, first priority should be, how do we write this character into this show, or so. That's what I'm hoping for mainly. But other than that, I'm excited if this is true.
All right, so that was our last bit of Star Wars news, and so we have a few other small topics that we want to cover for you guys. Next one, I think me and Brian will probably be most excited for this one, and possibly Nick too, that new Power Rangers comic series will be coming out this November from writer Ryan Parrott and artist Marco Renna. So
great job. You did great.
Hey, I mixed up on my words. I didn't butcher his name, but the description of this new comic is that a new Mighty Morphin team has assembled to take on the deadliest threats to Earth. But who is the all-new Green Ranger by their side? The new Mighty Morphin team are on a collision course with an even deadlier Lord Zed, who has a new mission and a new motivation, one that would change everything you thought you knew about our heroes. But even if the new Mighty Morphin team can find a way to survive Zed and their mysterious new enemies, they might also discover the greatest threat to their future is the shocking secret of Zordon's past. A new Mighty Morphin epic begins here, perfect for longtime fans and new readers alike. So just by reading that description right there, I am all for it. I especially want to dive deep into Zordon's past, because not much of Zordon's past is explained at all in the Power Rangers franchise. So just getting ready to read about Zordon's past will definitely interest me, and then also seeing like who this new Green Ranger is, because I think in the comics right now, and of course we've seen it in the TV show, that Tommy was the first Green Ranger, but of course he became the White Ranger after that. So is this this new Green Ranger going to be somebody who has already been on the Power Rangers team, or is it going to be a completely new character? So I'll just go ahead and pass this conversation on down to Brian, since I know he's excited about it. What are your thoughts on this new comic series that's coming out?
Dude, I'm hyped. I read the Power Ranger comic books just in the same vein that I read Marvel, DC, Image, and some of the other stuff. So like for me, I've always, I guess in the last X amount of years, 5 years or so, the quality the Power Ranger comic books absolutely jumped onto the same level that some of the best comics from the big two companies have to offer as well. They had this really big, like super mega event with the Necessary Evil and Forever Evil as well. And then the entire Shattered Grid storyline, that entire thing. So
that was good.
Oh man, it's really, really good writing. So for me, this is like really awesome. Obviously, on top of what we've got going on with this comic, they are completely rebooting the franchise on a visual level. So like TV right now, there's nothing going on, but there's obviously the movie that is also announced, and I think Paramount has that now.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, Paramount has it, and so they're trying to figure out what to do with that. And this comic that's coming out is really cool. Ryan Parrott is one of the best writers of these characters that I've seen in my time reading them. He has a really good understanding of them, and he keeps just finding new ways to make them interesting. The storylines add into the lore and things of that nature. So this is really dope. Like you said, the Zordon thing is actually probably the most interesting aspect of this, is because he's always been like this parental figure and this like figurehead for them. And I think for once, it's always cool to like understand like where you have like these leaders and these I guess mentor type figures in a lot of these stories, whether it's comics or TV shows, cartoons, all that stuff. You have these like mentors, and it's like, okay, well, what about them? Like, how did they get this wise, and how did they get these positions? So to be able to pull the onion back, so to speak, and see what Zordon's about is going to be really awesome. And I'm really interested also as well to see the Green Ranger thing, noticeably because Tommy's actually going to be in this, but he's going to be in the White Ranger, which I think is a more natural fit for him. I am a big fan of White Ranger Tommy as opposed to Green Ranger Tommy. I think it's just a better fit. So who knows who this is? I don't know if you've peeped the design for it. They've actually dropped a picture of all of the Rangers in this new series, and they've upgraded the Green Rangers. Whoever the Green Ranger is, I guess they're like completely trying to separate them from the original Green Ranger Tommy design. It has a little bit of like an inspiration from Lord Draken as well. So who knows? I'm along for the ride, and I will be there, and I will have it the moment it drops, and I'm excited for it. So.
Right, man. Right. And let's see what our next bit news is. So our last bit of news is that Tom Holland he has posted a picture on his Instagram to show that he is now filming for his new movie, which will be called Uncharted, which is based on the video game Uncharted, and he will be playing the character of Nathan Drake. So when this news came about to us, it got us thinking. There have been some video games that have been lucky enough to get film adaptations. So our question to all of us here is, what video games would you like to see portrayed as movies?
I'll go ahead and just name one out. Call of Duty. It's very generic. I understand. That'd be kind of dope. Could you see Ghost? Could you see Ghost on the big screen? Absolutely, I can.
Talking about like the Modern Warfare trilogy.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That would be cool. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be cool. A live action Ghost. Yeah.
No, I mean like we've had war movies in the past, but like nothing like Call of Duty. So.
Right, and there have been pretty good like high production YouTube videos called there was one covering the events between Modern Warfare 2 and 3 called Operation Kingfish, and it was a really well made YouTube video, and it was just people who really love the series, and I'm like, they could make that into like a show or a movie. For me, I would like to see the Max Payne trilogy become a set of movies. If you don't know, Max Payne is like the unsung hero from Rockstar Games. When people think of Rockstar Games, they think of GTA, Red Dead Redemption, Bully, LA Noire. But Max Payne is also a series that they've made. They stopped making the games, but the games, especially the third one, mainly the third one, was great in terms of Max Payne dealing with his past and his alcoholism, and dealing with him being a bodyguard for these drug lords in South America. So it's like it's got action, it's got emotional ties to it. I think that would be a pretty cool set of movies if they can make it right, obviously, because the track record for video games that became movies are not very good.
Yeah, I know one. I mean, besides Tomb Raider, but Assassin's Creed, terrible. I love the actor. Michael Fassbender's great.
Mortal
Kombat. Those are older. I would give those a pass. I don't even care. But dude, Assassin's Creed for being this day and age, 2015, that was terrible. Terrible.
Yeah.
Sorry, Michael Fassbender.
Yeah, like the only one I can think off the top of my head that's actually been decent is like Sonic. Like I actually like Sonic.
Let's go.
A wonderful movie.
Yeah,
wonderful movie.
And I just got it from Redbox again, and I was hoping that I wasn't talking like out of like optimism. So I rented it again, and I watched it recently, and it still holds up. Like it's still good, and that's like the only video game movie I can think of that's like actually like pretty good to the source material. Everything else has just been.
Yeah.
Oh, that one and Silent Hill. Those are the only two.
Silent Hill. Just going to say Silent Hill. That's what
I have a suggestion. I have two of them, and one of them sticks out the most. I'll start out with the one that's a little bit least. I think a Resident Evil movie could be really cool. A really well done Resident Evil movie.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah, but my number one, honestly, is God of War. I think God of War could be a fantastic movie.
Okay.
Wait, Josh, do you mean the old ones with Greek mythology or the newer one with the Norse mythology?
I like the new one with the Norse mythology.
Yeah, God of War.
I think even one with the Greek mythology would be great as well. Just God of War as a franchise, having Kratos and I don't know if you'd include his son, but just having Kratos in his story, I think that'd be a really great movie.
I think God of War. That would be pretty nice to see.
Yeah, I think the newer one is a much older Kratos. Where the first three were like he was just angry, he was trying to kill Zeus. I mean, he did kill Zeus.
Like Logan and Old Man Logan. So you get like unleashed, Logan, and then you get like really unleashed but old and experienced. So yeah, whichever.
And they both rock really good beards.
Right, that's right. So that's why I always pick God of War.
I was going to. I have two suggestions in my head. One is just kind of like really out there. It would be really hard to do. I want to see an attempt of a Super Smash Brothers movie. I know that's going to be really difficult to do because there's so many characters in that game. But if they were able to come up with a good story and let everybody have their moment to shine, I would like to see something like that.
Would you live action or animated though?
Live action will be super difficult, but if they can do it, then they can do it. But what was somebody going to say?
I would say this as a possible nod to why I think Super Smash Bros. Could work. Shout out to Steven Spielberg for Ready Player One.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how he got all the licensing and then the stuff necessary to do all that.
Right.
I can do that when you are Steven Spielberg. but that movie in itself led me believe that a Super Smash Bros. Movies could be done. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys, I mean, it's been a couple of years now, but that movie had almost every like figure from pop culture references that you can imagine.
Bryant to like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, man.
They had the Ninja Turtles and they had the Battletoads. They had both.
Yes, they did. They had Master Chief as well. And then
Yeah.
they had Gundam.
Then they had a rendering of Batgirl. They had a bunch of other characters in there. And then the big one for me was I'm a big anime guy.
I know you're about to say.
They had
I know you're about to say.
Gundam. They had the G Gundam. Like, how do you?
Dude.
It looked beautiful.
Yeah.
So
You should have seen me in the theater. I was legit like.
I was the same way. My man. So it was like if they were able to functionally make a Gundam in an animated realm in like an animated situation like this, I know for a fact that they can throw a nice animated version of Link and all Kirby and all that stuff and the Marios and you can just do so much. And I think there's already precedent for the Pokemon, obviously with Detective Pikachu.
Right.
There was the Greninja in there, and that looked really good. So I think it's possible. I mean, I think that's definitely a reasonable thing.
And
for sure.
my second suggestion was they got to do a Grand Theft Auto movie at some point. And specifically, I want San Andreas. And if they do a Grand Theft Auto San Andreas movie, they got to bring back Samuel L. Jackson as Officer D. Penny. They have to do that. They have to do that. So if they're going to do Grand Theft Auto movie, San Andreas, or they can do Grand Theft Auto 5, because I love that storyline too.
I mean,
so either one of those two, I would be perfectly fine with.
Vice City. Vice City.
Or hey, I can't believe I even forgot Vice City. Vice City would be good.
Vice
too.
City was OG, yeah.
The vibes from Vice City are definitely like.
I swear.
Yeah, I love that whole Miami look. You know, back in the '80s. I love that.
Pink, it looks like with neon sign,
Yeah.
palm trees.
Cocaine cowboy type stuff. Yeah, man, you can't beat that.
We're going to. I was about to say for my choices, I'm a really big Assassin's Creed fan. They really messed up with the movie in 2015. But I mean, if they had a good actor, I mean, they had a good actor. Michael Fassbender was good, but it's just the writing and everything else was just bad in the movie. But Assassin's Creed's really stepped up since then. I mean, the first three were amazing. 4 was good, but skip a few. Odyssey is known as the best game right now out for just ray tracing, story, open worldness, and just the video game in itself. And having that said, like Valhalla is coming out pretty soon. That's going to be, I think, I'm not sure how many times bigger. I think it's 5 times bigger, but it's going to be hella big. But if they did like Valhalla, some Norse mythology or whatever they have with it, I think that would be pretty sweet if they remade that and had like, Norse gods and stuff like that. That would be awesome. But I think another big one, I know Christian's going to love this. I always wanted a Red Dead Redemption movie. I never said anything about it because it just never came up. But I feel like having there's plenty of Westerns out there, but having John Marston or Arthur Morgan, having all these posses on the side and the gangs and just, there's so much you could do. And there's 3 great games. Not counting, I'm counting Red Dead Revolver, but I mean the 2 Red Dead Redemptions, if they really put it together this day and age, I think the last good Western that I saw, I don't really count The Revenant. I mean, that was like a Western, but it wasn't a Western. I mean,
It was more like a New Frontier exploration.
New Frontier. Yeah. But I think the last good Western that I can remember, I mean, there might be others, but it was True Grit from Christmas 2010. With Jeff Bridges, Josh Brolin, and what's that girl's name? Haley Steinfeld or whatever. Yeah, that was an amazing movie. I loved it. And having that, I was like, man, Red Dead Redemption actually came out that year too. So they updated Red Dead, made a second one, 2018. And I mean, with the CGI nowadays and just everything, you're not going to need much CGI for a Western movie, but I feel like that's going to be pretty dope if they did that.
mind you, I will make an announcement right now before we go into the final topic. Just to go off of the Red Dead Redemption. Now, look, you know what? Have you guys seen those videos on YouTube where they take a game and just play the cutscenes? Like they take the gameplay out, and it's just the cutscenes, and they call it like Call of Duty Modern Warfare the movie, and it's just the cutscenes back to back, right? Just to give you a reference, if we took Modern Warfare, the newest Call of Duty, that has about 6 hours, 5 hours. And if you look at other games, they have like 8 hours. You know, Far Cry, it's about 5, 6 hours of cutscenes. Red Dead Redemption 2 has over 17 hours of cutscenes.
Oh my goodness.
So if you look up a YouTube video, it's like a 17-hour YouTube video with all the cutscenes. And speaking of that, I ordered a Red Dead Redemption 2 poster, and it's going to be signed by Roger Clark, who is the motion capture artist. I don't want to say voice artist because they do a lot more than voices, but he did the voice and the motion capture for Arthur Morgan, the protagonist of Red Dead 2. And he's going to be streaming it. Obviously, I would get in real life, but due to the pandemic, he's going to be doing it from home on a live stream, and he's going to be talking to the fans, you know. And I'm announcing this to the YouTube video and everyone here too. So I will be showing that off on our Twitter as soon as I get it. But I'm very excited because I'm a huge fan of Westerns, or spaghetti Westerns. So yeah, I just want to say that. But did you guys have any video games that you would like to see into movies, maybe?
Nope. What, Brian?
I think that outside of everything, I agree with a lot of the ones you guys have said. And crazy enough, and I know it's going to sound really crazy considering the game I'm about to mention, but Ghost of Tsushima. It's going to drop on Friday. I think even before the game was going to drop, I was in on it as well. But I recently watched Seven Samurai by Kurosawa, who's one of the greatest directors of literally all time. We completely have lost that like whole genre of like movies. You know, for a lot of us are roughly around 20 to 30 years old. So we grew up where there seemed to be like pretty good like samurai, like Ronin films and stuff like that, going up and stuff. We don't have that anymore, like at all. So I think it's really dope to get a film of that sort of like nature in today's, you know what I'm saying, with some of today's technology and some of the stuff that's available for filmmaking. I think it'll be really, really dope. So
have you played Sekiro?
Yeah.
I don't know. How old are you? I think you look about like 24.
I'm 27.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll just lowballing. But have you played Onimusha from like the early PlayStations, just like way back in like the early 2000s?
Funny enough, I actually got into it like PS2 like stuff. So I like watching the films, but I didn't get into like the samurai type video games and really into like PS2 era.
Mm-hmm.
So seeing this and where it was at, and some of the other games that were out there, I was like, yeah, this is it. And just even seeing the gameplay like on YouTube,
it looks so good.
It looks so good. And could you just imagine like the film wouldn't even have to necessarily be like all that expensive because it would pretty much just be like a one-person movie.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be having to pay a shit ton of people to get into this, and you can honestly just focus on the art of making a like really scenic and just beautiful film, and you have like this really good emotional beat. I think that it would be really good, really good.
Yeah, that's actually something that I wouldn't have thought of off the top of my head. Like I've been a fan of like samurai games like my whole life, just growing up playing PlayStation 2, and then now I just got into Sekiro. Obviously, I don't have Ghost of Tsushima yet, but that literally looks like a movie. Like the graphics look insane. Like just from the wind blowing the grass, like is blowing my mind.
There was I guess a blogger or whatever. He's a video game journalist. He was like, honestly, like 50% of my like hard drive is like photo mode shots from Ghost. He's already played it, and like he like posted like an entire thread of them. If one of like the better directors in like Hollywood decided to get in on that, and you could probably, just because of how like artistic it would look and how beautiful it would look, I think it probably, you got like a really good actor that would fit the role. It could probably contend for like some serious awards.
Yeah.
So who knows? But I think that would be a really, 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 really dope video game. So, or movie, I guess.
I really like that one.
All right.
That's a good one.
All right. So going into our last thing that we have today. Now, yesterday, the X-Men film franchise recently celebrated their 20-year anniversary with the first release of X-Men, which was released back in 2000. So we just thought we would do like a little discussion of the X-Men trilogy, just basically talking about, what was our favorite X-Men film of that trilogy, or how would you rank it? Some of our favorite characters or scenes from that. And my one question to everybody here tonight is, if you could bring one actor from that franchise into the MCU, who would you bring? So I guess I'll just kind of start it off. My favorite X-Men film from that trilogy is definitely X-Men 2. By far, it's definitely possibly the best X-Men film in the entire franchise. My favorite character from the franchise, a favorite actor, I gotta go with Ian McKellen as Magneto. I think he brought, such a class act to that role. He was just great actor overall, and I loved his portrayal of Magneto. My favorite moment or scene would definitely have to be the beginning of X-Men 2 with Nightcrawler in the White House. Probably top 5. That's probably top 5 superhero scene, best superhero scene.
That's up there. That's such a good scene. Good opener.
Definitely up there. If I could bring one actor from the franchise to the MCU, I'm gonna go out of the X-Men trilogy with this one. I want to bring Olivia Munn, who plays Psylocke in Apocalypse, to the MCU and bring her back as Psylocke, because I think she did a really good job.
Yeah, she was such a new character to that movie, and Psylocke is such a cool character in general. And they portrayed her pretty well, I thought. I mean, I did like Apocalypse. Not many people did, but I did. Not just because of characters, but, I mean, story was subpar. But Psylocke looks so cool. If she was in the MCU, dude, that would be awesome.
Right, I would definitely bring back Olivia Munn.
I'm with you 100%, Dom.
All right. So the floor is open to anybody. That's just my little
I'll take it from here. I'm literally going to repeat everything, Dom. Well, not everything, but I have the exact same taste as Dom does when it comes to the original trilogy of X-Men. I love it. The X2 was amazing. Me growing up with older siblings, I watched a lot of, not really R-rated movies, but just movies that you couldn't really watch as a kid. And I remember going to the theaters to see X-Men 2 United. And having that opening scene right there with my older brother, it was like the coolest thing ever, like for a superhero opener for a movie. And it still is up there. Like Dom said, it's in his top 5. I'd probably say top 5, maybe top 10, just depends. I'll have to go rethink about that. But it was amazing. And as far as bringing a character in from the you talking about the franchise or the trilogy? Because you brought in Psylocke, so I would assume the franchise.
Yeah, I went with I just went with the entire franchise. But if you want to just choose from the trilogy, that's your answer.
Okay. That's tough. Honestly, I love Iceman. One of my favorite characters was Magneto, who's Ian McKellen, obviously. You already mentioned that. But I would bring in Iceman. I really like the character. I mean, not like the actor's fine, but the character himself, Iceman, I really like him. And I feel like if he was in the MCU, they would portray him a little bit better, honestly. And I feel like he would be pretty dope in the MCU. But that's just me.
So would you want to bring the actor, what's his name?
I don't know his name.
Shawn Ashmore. Would you want him back in the MCU as Iceman?
I mean, he's probably a little bit old now, so recasting would be good since they're not going to bring in the X-Men for another few years. So definitely going to have to recast. So that's kind of, it's a given.
Right, because that's why I said Olivia Munn, because the original cast is pretty much, aged up at this point.
Exactly.
But no, let me go back and say I would bring back James Marsden as as Cyclops.
Sir.
Oh man,
Because they did not do him justice in the trilogy. I'm going to just say that off the bat. They did not do him
tell me
justice.
about it.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
I think for me, obviously X2 is my favorite X-Men movie. Well, I mean Logan, obviously, but we're going with the original three. I think my favorite scene. I love the Nightcrawler scene, but I'm going to go another step further. The scene where Mystique is sliding through the double doors and she turns around and she flips them off.
And she flipped.
that scene alone was like, okay, that's awesome.
I'm probably gonna watch X-Men tonight. Honestly, this
right?
is hyping me up.
We actually had a Twitter follower, one of our fans. They tweeted at us and they were like, "You made us want to go watch this," and I was like, "Hey, it's a great movie." But a character I would bring into the MCU, I think I would recast her, but would be Kitty Pryde. She has such a unique set of abilities that, like, I think she would fit well in the MCU with how the direction the MCU is going with. So
He had a good amount of screen time for The Last Stand.
did. Mhm.
Yeah, because they
pretty well.
Yeah,
But-
they really upgraded her in Days of Future Past because
Dude.
you know with
Goodness.
with her power in the movie, bringing taking people back into the past. That's not even her power in the comics, because originally in the comics that was Rachel Gray's role of people sending their minds back to the past. So I thought it was really interesting, and the way of how they played her powers by setting people's mind back into the past. So I thought it was really interesting on that part.
One thing that confused me in the Last Stand, and I'll keep this. We don't have to answer this. Is the child that the mutant that was the cure? When the mutants came, wouldn't that counterreact with his own mutant ability? Wouldn't that negate? Wouldn't his own power?
You said don't answer it.
It's just confusing to me. But all right, who's next?
Something out there.
I'll go next. I don't know what those. For me, I think X-Men 2 is my favorite. X-Men 3 is and then
I actually enjoy X-Men 3. I enjoy X-Men 3, so I'll put that out there.
Yeah, I mean, I'll watch it. It's definitely watchable, but it's not, but for me, it's X-Men 2, and I think just to give variety, I think I really like the scene where Stryker invaded the mansion, the X-Men mansion.
That's a great scene.
For me, I always thought was cool was when Iceman put the ice wall. I just thought that was I don't know. I was like, that's a cool scene. I was like, and that whole fight raid thing was just, it was on the edge of my seat. I was a kid when I was watching these, so I was like, oh, this is awesome. But for me, if I could bring a character back to the MCU, it would definitely be, and this, I don't know how this would work, but I loved Evan Peters as Quicksilver.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like the Flash, and I think he's the best speedster in all of comic book heroes, especially, Flash from DC. But live action wise, Quicksilver is the best speedster, like the ones from the new X-Men movies.
Yeah.
Not Age of Ultron, not that one. I don't know that one. That was just kind of weird to me. But the one from the new X-Men movies, especially those iconic scenes where he runs around really slow and his goggles are on.
Yeah.
He does that twice. I would like to bring him into MCU somehow. I don't know how, but somehow I would like to bring him. Maybe if they did something that messed up or changed things different in WandaVision, or I don't know, something.
Hey, well, he is rumored to be on that show.
Yeah, so
he is cast to be on that show. So
yeah, so if they did something like that, I would love for him to come back. Obviously, my first choice would be Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, but he said he wanted to move on.
Yeah.
But my second choice would be definitely because he's a young dude. I would think he would be up for the role. And his Quicksilver, I love his great jacket and his white hair. I think it looks iconic. Like, in my opinion, he looks way cooler than the comic book Quicksilver. And that's one. It's very few moments where the live action version of a character looks cooler than the comic book action version of the character. Another one I would say, I like a live action Thanos more than comic book Thanos. At least the look that he had in Infinity War, the comic. He looked a little corny with that crown. But other than that, but that would be my choice.
Oh, dope. I'll make mine really quick. I'd keep James Marsden. I'm a huge Cyclops fan, and I really like the Quicksilver from the one that Christian was talking about. I really like that one. So that'd be it for me. The rest of the characters, the characters in themselves, they're great, but the actors, there's not really one that sticks out that I mean, of course you have Professor X and Wolverine, but no, I kind of want to just restart on those. That's about it. I really like Beast though. I really like Beast from the
Kelsey Grammer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I thought he was a real good Beast in my opinion. I wish it could have been an earlier movie so we could have got more of him, but gotta do what you gotta do. So
yeah, so I like Beast. But that's pretty much it.
Good stuff. What about you guys?
The same way. I do like X2. X1's pretty good, and X3. I actually like it a little bit better than a lot of people do. I didn't think it was the best out of the three, but I don't think it was that bad. I actually kind of enjoyed it, but it definitely isn't the best out of the three.
All right,
I would say my favorite is like everyone else, X2. I grew up. The first comic book movies I watched was the X-Men, and X2 I probably watched that like a dozen times once I got on DVD. My favorite moment will always be when Juggernaut's chasing Kitty Pryde. It's such a cool scene, and the way they get away from him. And to pick an actor, I'd go with James Marsden, just because I like you said, they did him so dirty in the trilogy. Like he could have been more of a leader.
Deserved more, yeah.
But then they just kill him off the way they did. Like I remember watching that as a kid, like thinking, "What the fuck?
Why?
You just killed off Cyclops like that?"
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd bring him up because he's still a great actor.
Yeah. And speaking of which, he was also in Sonic, and I liked him.
Yes, sir.
And in Westworld.
Yeah, and that too. Yeah. So he definitely, and he doesn't look that old. Like he looks pretty young, So
he still will always be my first choice for Hal Jordan.
Oh
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna go pretty much what Nick said. It was definitely my jam. My favorite X-Men movie. I think my favorite moment was pretty much any moment with Mystique in any of the movies. The character's just really cool. Just the entire energy of it. I don't really even have like one set scene that I would probably pick. But yeah, James Marsden, Cyclops, that's my jam. And Nick pretty much highlighted all the points that I would say. I think he was done like poorly, and I'm actually glad though that wasn't one of those like positions and roles where the actor does it and then like they don't ever get anything notable after that. It happens to a lot of actors, and it takes them like so long to get back in like the spotlight, so to speak. So that definitely is probably the one that I would pick. And like much like Nick said, like I would be down with James Marsden in some of these movies coming up. I mean, obviously I would prefer him as my boy Hal, but I think he would fit a lot of different characters. He has the look, and like you said, he has the acting chops as well. And I think he could probably find a role in a lot of different franchises going forward. So
right, and I like how you made the point with saying that with his role in the X-Men franchise, like his stardom didn't like die down because he kept on doing movies after, so he kept that check consistent. So I'm really happy for him about that.
And I feel like it's weird because like there's like a couple of different like actors, and not necessarily just limited to comic book movies, but a lot of movies where they were like in a like prominent role or whatever, and the movie it wasn't received as maybe what the distributors thought it was, and then like you don't really see that person in anything like significant ever again. They might be like in a TV show or this, that, and the third, but for Marsden to be able to kind of navigate that, kudos to him.
Yeah. So I think that's about wraps it up for our episode.
Yeah. Darren got kicked out for some reason. I don't know what happened.
Yeah. But that does it for our episode tonight. Thank you guys again to Crews Clout, Bryant and Nick for joining us tonight. I know this has been, long in the making because I know Brian, you and me talked about it for some time now, and I'm just glad that we definitely got to do this with y'all. So Nick and Brian, thank you guys so much for joining us tonight.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
On behalf of both of us, you guys feel free. We will schedule a time. You guys can come on over to Crews Clout, step into our domain, and we'd be glad to have you guys on. You just let us know when it's good for you, and we will have at it.
Yeah. So and then I'm going to give you guys the floor again. You guys want to plug in you guys' social media where they can find you guys at?
Nicholas.
On Twitter and Instagram, it's at the Nick Stout, and that's pretty much all I use. Follow our Twitter account for the podcast at Crews Clout.
And yeah, what he said. Most importantly, I don't really care if you follow me. I shit post a lot. So.
Oh yeah, I shit post constantly. So if that's what you want.
But nonetheless, please follow our podcast's Twitter page. It's at Crews Clout. That's at CREWSCLOUT. And if you do want to follow me for whatever reason, I don't know. It's gonna be me angrily tweeting about Scott Snyder.
Please follow him because he will have you cracking up.
It's at BC28 _. Again, that is at BC28 _. While I have the time, I do want to follow up with what I said before. Guys, please wear your mask, and most importantly, wash your hands as well. And be kind to other people. It literally costs $0. Free. It is free to be nice to people and treat them with respect and kindness, no matter their nationality, race, whatever the case may be, their background, where they come from. Be good to people. And so thank you guys for having us as well.
No problem. Go ahead, Josh.
This is going to – oh, sorry, Dom, were you going to close this out? I just have to finish by saying one thing, that this is going to be on YouTube. I'll be sure to include all of these guys' social media links on our description, so you can just easily just click on that and follow them on there. We have a Lord of the Rings video coming out this weekend, put out by Darren, and then tomorrow, which is technically today if you're listening, this episode will be on Anchor, SoundCloud, well, actually, no, not SoundCloud, but Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. So, obviously, if you're watching that. So just wanted to make sure you guys are aware of that we have still content coming out, and we have a couple guests that are going to be scheduled that we won't name who it is, but we have a couple people scheduled. So we got things planned.
All right. And so with that, from the East Coast Avengers and Crews Clout, we hope you guys have a great day or a great night out there. As Brian said, wear a mask, be nice to people. And check out both of our podcasts whenever you get a time. Check out for more content from the both of us. And this is East Coast Avengers and Crews Clout signing out. We'll see you guys later.
See ya.